Good evening, Speed Gaming fans. It is time for a Final Fantasy Randomizer Speed Gaming Live 2020 tournament match between SirLinkalot and fryteeth. I am Dr. Funkin, and joining me tonight in the booth is Jat2980. Jat, how you doing tonight?
Fantastic. I could not be more excited to see a great race between two people I know pretty well in the community. So these two runners separated by 0.08 of a point in qualifying. So this should be a very, very close race on a competitive flag set.
Excellent. Glad to hear that. You always love when it's a nice, close race.
Yeah, so to give a little bit of information on this, we are in the pods. This is both players' first race, and we are looking at a reasonably standard flag set. No crazy entrance floor shuffle here. What we're looking at is standard towns, standard entrances. We have 2 dud locations, Ice, Ordeals, Titan's Troth, Earth, Volcano, Sky, Canary Locked. Of note, though, there is Earth, Volcano, Sky, so 3 Fiend dungeons have incentive locations. As well, we have an incentive Katana and White Shirt. The Katana is just basically going to be a money stick, but we'll see if that White Shirt comes in handy for if, for example, the Red Mage is locked out of Invis 2.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, no one will ever say no to a White Shirt run in these games, unless, of course, we've got, item magic shuffled.
Yes, exactly. I 100% agree. So something we should note here is that both runners did have a party draft agreed upon, so that is why you will see identical party comps. We'll have Black Belt, Red Mage, Black Mage. So anything in particular you want to highlight about this comp, or?
So it's actually a pretty interesting one. You've got great flexibility with the 2 Red Mages. Hopefully you've got good magic in the Black Magic, otherwise you're probably just going to damn that Black Mage and make it kiss dirt the whole run. And generally you have to have some sort of melee character, and Black Belt's a little odd. A lot of people prefer to go with the fighter, but Black Belt has its own advantages.
Yeah, I think in this flag set with no loose, the Black Belt can be very, very powerful. However, the EXP is not so high that it's guaranteed to be the best. And in this case, you know what? They're basically going to have to stick with it. So no choice but to find a way to get that Black Belt up. Of note, for those of you who are familiar with this randomizer, the Black Belt crit rate half flag is on. So that 32 Black Belt could be effective, but not quite as strong as it would be in the vanilla game, for example. However, bosses are only clamped at 100 to 150% HP, so nothing too terrifying in terms of the Temple of Fiends revisited when we get to there.
And we are off. fryteeth going to the armor shop. We've got caps and silver bracelets. And then Black Magic is Quake, Quad X, Rub, and Bane. Not necessarily what you want to see, but also not terrible. Banes and Quake are both okay AoE, and Quad X is surprisingly useful, especially in the early game.
Yeah, I would say that this set of magic is actually quite interesting. It kind of gives you a tool for most situations, but there's no one tool for all situations like you would when you get a nuke. So we're going to have to see how well these runners know the various elemental weaknesses, the average HP values of their enemies for, choosing when to use Quake, which is ground or earth type, Bane, which is poison type, and Quad X, which is death type. One small note, which is unfortunate for these runners, of course, no advantage to either runner because they are running identical comps. Exit is Red Wizard learnable, which means they will have to get the floater, get the canoe, and get the tail in order to use Exit, which is a little bit unfortunate for our runners here.
Yeah, so our runners will be hoping to see Warp at level 2, 3, or 4, hopefully sometime soon, just so that they have some sort of ability to get in and out of dungeons a little quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick note on the table here, the encounter table, is that there is a very, very quick encounter after hard reset. So if you're not super familiar with that, what that means is that every single time they hard reset the console, they're going to be getting the same encounter after a number of steps. And that means that they're going to be, what you're going to see a lot of is them going to press a button, they're going to hard reset, they're going to take an encounter, and then they're going to soft reset to skip it. So that way they can get a little bit of a longer run. So that's just something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely, and fryteeth got the adamant from the king and of Corneria, and got the slab from Princess Sarah. So that adamant we can go turn in right away at the dwarves, which may pull him in that direction. But I imagine he's going to go back up to the Temple of Fiends real quick just to see what's in those treasure chests.
Yeah, so there's a couple different places you can go to try and get a little bit of...
A defense sword +4 and the Thor hammer +6 in those chests. That'll be worth going back for.
Oh wow, yeah, that is really nice. That defense sword is really, really important actually. For if there's no Invis 2 with no white magic available, that defense sword could come in huge. That being said, a lot of the times with Black Belt, you just try and kill them before they kill you, but usually that strategy is a little bit different on Chaos. It also really depends on where Fast and Temper land. The more quickly you can buff up your Black Belt in the late game, the less you need to play defensive, the more you can play pure offense.
Now here's a question. At what point do you find a weapon and decide that instead of using the black belt, you decide to use a red wizard? Like maybe if magic ends up being good enough, do you knock the black belt down and put everything into your mages?
I mean, there is an argument to be made for like a Vorpal or a Masa if you find it and its rolls high enough. However, with this, unless there's actually zero grind just available anywhere, and even then I think it's unlikely. So I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing both these runners using black belts no matter what.
Not particularly cheap houses today, and no heals available in Corneria either.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it is important that there's no early save items. Not nearly as big of a deal as in some seeds, but that does mean that they're going to take a little bit of time before they can start, getting all the safety saves they want and counter manipulating various things like that.
The real nice thing about seeing that Thor hammer so early is it's no longer such a big deal if you end up not finding sweeper magic, because you've got Lit 2 right out the gate no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. And also a lot of the large enemy packs that are annoying in the early game, especially if they're unrunnable, are on the ocean or in the river system. So that can be really nice. That being said, with these two elemental sweepers, you can get through most things as well. Like the insta-death ones. They're just not quite as consistent as you would like them to be. But being at level 1, you should have plenty of charges. And I do want to shout out SpeedGaming 2, who is raiding with a party of 122. My name is Jat. I'm joined here in the booth by Dr. Funkin, and you are watching the Final Fantasy Randomizer tournament that's taking part of SpeedGaming Live 2020. Welcome and welcome. Hope you're having a fantastic evening.
And Bicky and his boys give fryteeth a bottle of Oxy Ale. Ooh, nice cheap tents. Love to see that.
Yeah, not only nice cheap tents, I just took a look at that white magic, which is really nice. We have Cure 4 available, which is one of those pretty important spells, actually, for a comp with no white mages to be available at early levels. And at level 2 black magic, we have just as good magic with both fast and warp. So of note, we are currently missing the kind of non-elemental sweepers in Fade or Nuke, and we're also missing the elemental non-insta-death sweepers, like, a Lit 3 or something like that. However, mostly everything else that you could ask for, we found already, which is really, really nice. The other thing we're missing is a life spell.
And Temper.
Yeah, Temper's not as important with the black belt strategies, especially at this scaling. From the practice races that I've been watching the various runners do, it doesn't come into play nearly as often as it would with, a forced fighter, for example, but fast really, really increases the safety of Topher more than anything else.
Absolutely, yeah. The fast, being able to, the best defense is a good offense when you're running a black belt.
Yeah, especially when HP is just 100 to 150%.
And it looks like fryteeth is going to go take a quick check at Matoya's cave, see what's going on with her chests.
Yeah, not a bad idea to get a little bit of early money. I like the check here after they go to Provoca, just in case Provoca, Bicky provides the crystal, which can be a big time loss if you have enough money to buy spells there.
And that was a real waste. 276 total gold and a heal pot, and fryteeth resets out of it.
Yeah. Really nice use of the cabin there, and we're going to be seeing the exact same play from SirLinkalot. So, 6-7 minutes in, and we are, neck and neck between these two runners. Really, SirLinkalot just a little bit behind because of the extra time spent checking Topher, but he did find that defense sword, so pretty nice.
Yeah, Linkalot took an unfortunate wipe in Topher, but it's so early in the game right now that it's not really that big a deal.
Yeah, this isn't like the run that was right before this, that Super Metroid any percent, where everything is executed almost perfectly. Randomizer has a lot of in-game decision making. There's no one route. It is very much about execution, but there's lots of room for small time saves in both execution, routing differences, magic selection, even just in-game battle choices and RNG. So this is still, a very, very, very close race.
And speaking of that, fryteeth got wiped by some heat-casting Kaizokus, and now they're really, really close again.
So fryteeth on this ogre creep, this is actually a pretty good early game experience tile. So I'm not surprised to see him taking it here. Meanwhile, SirLinkalot digs up that Procate -2. Now, we've been kind of seeing a bunch of weapons. It's not nearly as important with the black belt seeds, but can you talk a little bit about what those pluses and minuses mean for these various pieces of gear?
Absolutely. So that's a flag that we like to affectionately call blurst items. Depending on the plus or minus attached to an item, it gives a bonus or a penalty to the vanilla stats of that item.
Yeah, so armor, for example, is going to provide plus or minus 1 absorb, except for chest pieces, which provide plus or minus 2. And weapons do various good things, but most importantly, it bumps damage and crit as well as hits. So those weapon changes really do make a difference in the viability of the different weapons, and you're going to have to adjust to it, not always just keeping weapons ordered in the same ranking.
Absolutely. And it looks like our runners got the rod for turning in the adamant, which could point them into doing an early earth dive, which I know a lot of runners are not huge fans of doing.
Yeah, the rod's really interesting. A really, really important decision in these seeds oftentimes is, do I go to rodless earth? Because there's an incentive item there, and it often, well, not often, but there's a chance that the floater's there. However, it could take a bunch of time. Now, two things change that decision. One is having Warper Exit, which they have, but also is having the rod, because that means they can go all the ways down and kill Lich in one go, and therefore light one of the 4 orbs that are required to get into the final dungeon of the game, the Temple of Fiends Revisited. There are other late game conditions, of course, being the key and the loot, which looks like a little guitar in the tracker. So, that's really going to incentivize these runners to go into Earth. Not only that, they can kill Lich early because of Quake as well.
And unfortunately, life magic is locked to white casters in level 4.
Mm-hmm. So if you played the vanilla game of this, the way that magic works is that it depends on the slot. So of course we've shuffled all the spells around, but however, the permissions of each slot remain the same. So it doesn't matter that life is level 3. However, if life is level 3 in slot 2, which in the vanilla game only the white mage can learn, it's going to continue to be that way. And that's why we're saying, this is white mage locked magic, or red wizard learnable, which means the red mage can learn it after promotion. So that's what we're meaning when we're saying various magic is available or not available.
Correct. And speaking of available magic, 2 of the elemental sweepers were available at level 4 black magic. I think it was Fire 3 and Lightning 3, but it may have been Ice 3 and Lightning 3.
Okay, we'll get a quick confirm on that, but those two are actually really nice. So Ice 3 is the highest damaging elemental sweeper in the game. However, Fire and Lightning are actually more effective against more enemies, and having that combination is quite nice. Unfortunately, it is Ice 3 and Lit 3, but that's not a big problem. Fun trivia fact, Ice 3 can actually do more damage than Nuke. It's the only spell in the game that can. It's under a specific set of conditions, but still interesting.
Absolutely it is. And fryteeth is going straight into the Marsh Cave.
Yeah, this is a really interesting decision. I guess you're looking for that canal, so that makes a lot of sense why they're doing this. If you followed the spring tournament in the last this year, if you followed the spring tournament this year, we have the same flag set on, where there's 2 dud locations. However, we have a guaranteed loose canoe. So that is what fryteeth is searching for at the moment. Considering they've checked everywhere else, it's got to be in Marsh.
Absolutely. Now, you said we have a guaranteed loose canoe. Did you mean canal?
Sorry, canal. Yes, that is what I meant to say.
Fair enough. And it looks like fryteeth maybe not fully knowing the best way to route in the bottom of Marsh.
Mm-hmm. I also wanted to turn attention to the way SirLinkalot is doing this. I definitely agree with this decision to do the top part first. The reason is because these chests are quick, and if there's nothing here, you can just reset out and go to the bottom. But if something's here, you can completely skip the whole bottom of Marsh, which is much more dangerous. So I like this decision by SirLinkalot to do the top part first. Something else of note, if you're unfamiliar with the vanilla game, is something called linked chests. So what that means is that multiple chests, actually the item in it is like Schrodinger's chest. It actually exists in 2 places at once, and whatever one you open first is where it ends up, and then the other one becomes empty. So knowing where those linked chests are is really important in order to optimize your marsh routing. SirLinkalot finds the loose canal in the top of marsh, gets out of there, doesn't even need to visit the bottom. Meanwhile, fryteeth having a really tough time here in the bottom, so paying a price.
Yep, and just like that, the early lead that fryteeth had has evaporated, and now SirLinkalot has got his foot on the gas.
Mm-hmm. And that Thorhammer plus Bane strat's paying off. The levels are a little bit lower than you'd want to be, but not the end of the world, and he will quickly catch up.
Yep, absolutely.
So, getting out of the inner sea, let's talk routing a little bit. There's a few different options available without the canoe. We can go to Crescent Lake, which has a guaranteed incentive item for free, or we can go to Earth Cave, which has an incentive location available there, as well as potentially Lich. Now, these are kind of tough decisions. The benefit of going to Earth is that you can A, check the spike tiles there, which are guaranteed enemy locations, which you could use to get a few levels. Also look for your black belt for later in the game. Alternatively, though, getting down to the 3rd floor might be super dangerous. On the other hand, you could go to Crescent Lake and maybe dig out the canoe, which is the progression that you need. So we'll have to see what SirLinkalot decides to do.
Yeah, it's kind of a coin flip. Is the canoe in Earth, or is the canoe in, its vanilla location? And maybe it's in neither. Maybe you get to, maybe you have to go to Crescent Lake, and Crescent Lake gives you the ruby, which you then have to feed to the Titan, and then go to Sarda to get the canoe. Who knows?
Yeah, I did want to point out there is one other option which I didn't mention, which is that we find a shop item. So there is one incentive location, which is the vanilla bottle, which is usually located in the desert. Of course, with this being the randomizer, we've shuffled it all around. So that shop item could be the other place where the canoe is located, or behind a fetch quest behind that. So that is an option if, the runners check both those locations and haven't found it. They might need to go to Onrak. Northern Docks is off, sorry. But it may be in Crescent Lake with the with that item there.
It very well could be. The other thing is, so one thing that might push them a little more towards Earth, just so they don't forget it, is they already have their slab, and just going to get that translated while it's still fresher in your mind isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure. The slab, of course, needs to do 2 things in order to turn it into an item. One, you need to go talk to Dr. Un in Melman to learn, basically, it's kind of like the Rosetta Stone. It allows you to learn a language, and then after that, you can go talk to the Lefanish people in Lefane. Unfortunately, we need the floater for that, which requires both the canoe and the floater, so we're a little ways away from being able to turn that in for an item. Meanwhile, fryteeth has successfully, of course, dug out that canal after spending a little bit more time in marsh than SirLinkalot, but he will be well on his way as well.
Yeah, and is just about caught back up to where SirLinkalot is. That's what we mean when we say that these little early game edges don't mean a whole lot. You can catch back up just based on how well you manipulate the encounter table.
Yeah, absolutely. SirLinkalot didn't decide to go turn in the slab there. It looks like he just wanted a quick save, and he is going to make the Crescent Lake. Yeah, he's going to make the Crescent Lake play first. This once again can make sense because it's quick, and there's a potential that the shop item is here as well. So this
level
could
5
be...
Fade and Nuke in Melmond.
Yeah, that's pretty important. Those remember how I said in the early game that they have a bunch of tools that are kind of good for specific situations? Nuke and Fade are good for everything.
And Cheeseinator in chat pointing out that Nuke is available pre-promotion, so all they need to do is 1, have enough money to buy it, and 2, be high enough level to cast it.
Both fryteeth and SirLinkalot opting to do the Crescent Lake play. This makes a lot of sense. I would have probably gone to Earth myself, but I can see at the levels that they're at that they want to check both the shop item as well as get the free item from the sages.
So I think a way you can justify this is you could, those are cheap +5 pro rings, but a way you can justify this is that you could potentially get some nice early levels here by if there's a good encounter right off of a hard reset.
Yeah, definitely. So that Life 2 was Red Wizard learnable as well. And actually this crown turns out quite nicely for the runners, because now they get to kind of go back to that side of the continent anyways, turn that crown in, and then decide if they're, they're going to dive Earth after that.
Indeed. And looks like we had a troll right off of the encounter cycle. Not what you're hoping for. You're hoping for a nice big pack of peeds, but, can't have everything.
Nope. That is how, as we say, rando's gonna rando. You never know. Sometimes it gives us, sometimes it takes us away. So these runners are working very hard for their levels right now. And that's something that you can see, in early games where you have something like Nuke available at level 1 or something along those lines. You might see them at much higher levels earlier, because they'll just take all the fights along the way. But here, with Bane being inconsistent, Thor +6 only casting Lightning 2, not Lightning 3, it's going to take a little bit more time. But SirLinkalot, out of reasonably happy level 8, about 18 minutes into the seed.
Yeah, that's not too terrible, all things considered.
Fryteeth? Oh, okay, he's taking, yeah, this makes sense. So he's taking the lower dock route in order to go to Elfland, instead of, because that's the way he's going to be able to turn in the crown. I don't actually know which way's faster.
It feels like the lower route is faster, just because you have to get all the way back into the inner sea because you don't have the canoe.
Yeah, and SirLinkalot actually also taking that bottom route path. So yeah, definitely going around the desert is going to be faster than going all the ways across the ocean and going around the bottom.
Cheesenator in chat confirming that it is in fact faster to go bottom route if you do not have a canoe.
Yeah, we got a pretty packed chat here with excellent Final Fantasy Randomizer runners. We have Cheesenator, Crab Cakes, Spellzap, 3 of the top 4 runners from the spring tournament. So, if you have any questions in chat, or, we need some additional help for our commentary, we got lots of help available for us tonight. So SirLinkalot and Fryteeth both coming in to turn in this crown, and we'll have to see what the kindly old king, who, surprise, spoilers, is Astos, has in store for us.
What? It was Astos the whole time?
I know. Please contain your shock. Oh, goodness. Okay, so unfortunately the lower dock play, trolling as it is off to do. We will have to go to Matoya, which is very unfortunate for these runners, but once again, fair for both runners.
Oof, yeah, so now you have to go all the way around and into the inner sea, because there isn't a dock above, it's just you can get to her with a canoe from above, right?
Yeah, okay, I really so SirLinkalot spent a bunch of time casting Bane Quake on Astos. Meanwhile, Fryteeth just went in and immediately cast Quad X. So Astos does not resist any elements, but has quite high magic defense. And because of that, the insta-death spells are quite low % on it. Meanwhile, Quad X, as long as it doesn't resist death, which he doesn't, and he has less than 300 HP, which he does in this case, is just going to be, boom, dead. So really nice try with the Quad X first.
Reese Wolf in chat bringing up a good point. Is it possible that Vanilla Fetch is on?
So no, it is not possible for Vanilla Fetch to be on, but you know what? Even though it seems unlikely, it can just be Vanilla Fetches. It's still randomized, but it can randomize to Vanilla.
Alright then. Thank you for that.
So SirLinkalot gonna go buy a bunch of heal pots. That should be enough heal pots for most of the game, especially with that early Cure 4 on 2 red mages. Meanwhile, Fryteeth, going to go to Matoya slightly faster. And see, this is the type of decision where it's slightly slower to buy the heal pots, but those heal pots could actually save a wipe, And also with a black belt, it's likely that you're going to need heal pots in order to work with that solo grind. So yes, that loses a little bit of time now for SirLinkalot, but it's going to save him time later. And, those trade-offs is why it's hard to judge exactly the progress of the race at any given point until people enter Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Absolutely. But just looking at where we are, it looks like Fryteeth is going to give us our first look at what the crystals got.
Mm-hmm. And Life Reboot asking a question in chat. Do we know if this was a draft? This was indeed a draft. It is optional. However, both runners decided that they were okay with it. We started with SirLinkalot selecting a red mage. fryteeth followed up with a black belt and a black mage, which at that point, is going to be a pretty solid comp, and then SirLinkalot decided to finish off with a red mage. The only real problem with this comp, in my opinion at least, is just that it doesn't run very well, and also it can potentially get really, really trolled if white magic is terrible, but even then, this is going to be a really, really good comp for this flag set.
And Matoya does have the canoe for our racers, so now that we're already back at the Inner Sea, do you go Volcano Ice Cave before you go back out to the Earth Cave?
That's a difficult question. I want to keep in mind, too, we also have Ordeals available. Yes, there's no northern docks, but, that canoe location actually works as a dock. So that is another location that's going to be available for these runners.
It certainly is, though that one is super, super out of the way compared to the others.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if they leave that to later. Although, one of the benefits of doing Ordeals now with Warp early is that it's actually faster to go to Ordeals, not in terms of sailing time, but just in terms of walking time with the boat and the canoe than it is with the floater. It's one of the only dungeons that's like that.
Mind you, that may not be true depending on how encounters go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not entirely true. It's just kind of interesting that you can park your boat closer than you can park your floater, or your airship. Sorry. Something that's So Cheese and Air pointing out correctly in chat. 4 incentive dungeons to choose from. So for those of you, we have the Earth Cave, which has Lich, so it's a double dip, which is really nice, but potentially very dangerous. We have Ice Cave, which we don't have to go all the way through because we have Warp, but also fairly dangerous and very out of the way. We have Ordeals, which is the furthest away by boat, but relatively quick to go through with Warp. And then we have Volcano, which is really, really close to Ice Cave, but also you have to go all the ways down to the bottom floor and get through numerous spike tiles in order to check that location, and preferably you want to kill carry, which these runners are not really prepared to do. So, very difficult decisions. I think Earth is probably, I'm agreeing with Groggy Dog in chat, I think Earth is what I would go for, just because I want to check the spike tiles as well, but we will see what these runners decide to do.
Absolutely. And SirLinkalot getting a nuke on his black mage.
Yeah. So I don't no charges of that quite yet, but potentially after getting a few levels on these spike tiles, they'll be able to go down with, a charge or two.
Assuming that there is something good on the spike tiles to level on.
Yes, that's true. So we do have randomized spike tiles on. And once again, a spike tile is just a tile that is guaranteed to have an encounter, and it will be the same encounter every single time. Ooh, that's spicy. What do you think? Are Mudgalls a good grind here?
That's a tough call. Well, the fact that they can't be quad X down makes me say probably not.
Yeah, I mean, these Mudgalls could be quite strong if you could get your nukes up. Once you get past that critical nuke threshold, they're going to be very nice actually to grind on. They are worth a decent amount of EXP. They generally speaking fall down to 1 nuke. But for right now, it's going to be not really something that they can handle. So they're going to check the 3rd spike tile on Earth 1. And both runners, just look at this sync. They are within tiles of each other, having checked the exact same things. And yeah, I do want to point out Life Reboot is correct. They completely resist Quad X, so no matter what, they will be resistant to that.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So yeah, the rules for Quad X are has less than 300 HP, does not resist death. If those 2 conditions are applied, they die 100% of the time. If either is false, they always live. So both runners deciding at this point to keep diving down. I like this decision. I expect limited chests are going to be opened here, and they will both be rushing all the ways down, and I think they'll take on Lich, as both runners are familiar with the knowledge that Quake is effective on Lich.
Ooh, Bulls have Glare and Gargoyles have Death Touch.
Ooh, so...
Maybe not Earth. Maybe not Earth.
Yeah, that is a lot of bad things to get through in Earth. SirLinkalot, though, making a different decision, deciding to check some chests. Meanwhile, fryteeth just beelining straight down.
Certainly is.
Yeah, so there's a few chests on Earth 3 that if you're like in the mood for opening boxes, you can open relatively quickly, and there's a few that they will 100% be skipping. a flag that some people might be familiar with, which is better trap treasures, is not on. So there's no reason to check boxes behind spike tiles unless you're also wanting to check those spike tiles. Of course, this is another one of those link things in this game where it's a link trap tile, so you know what it is. So they're not going to do that. And fryteeth using quad X on a vampire.
That ain't gonna fly.
Dead. Unfortunately, all the undead are resistant to death, of course. So quad X not going to work. Not going to have a lot of luck with Bane either. Quake is the play here. Yeah, so SirLinkalot making the correct insta-death selection with Quake, as well as trying to go with a combination effect, and I like this. Going Lit 3 for damage, Thor Hammer, and then also trying to get the insta-death.
I don't think fryteeth has Quake.
Oh.
He got Cure 2 instead on both his red mages.
That is going to make things a little bit tough for fryteeth. That also pretty much removes the option to kill Lich at this point. Meanwhile, as long as SirLinkalot has charges, someone in chat will have to give me the exact percentages, but I want to say it's like 1 in 4 to 1 in 3 chance of Quake killing Lich, and with 3 casters, that's a gamble I would 100% be willing to do, and SirLinkalot saying the same.
Sure seems like it. Assuming that he manages to make it safely down with those nasty enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Also, apparently the vampire resists earth as well, so none of those spells are good against the vampire.
Yeah, but Quake could work. Low percent, but Quake cannot work, but Quad X, undead, knowing the undead resist death is like relatively more common. And okay, we're going to get our first feed fight around the 30-minute mark. While fryteeth shows off the best flag in the game, NPC Guillotine allowing us to not get blocked by bats.
AKA the J. Coper Memorial's flag.
Yes. So if you want to see Lich eat some cake, shout it out in chat.
Cake time, cake time.
Here we go. Once again, a split strat with the Thor Hammer on the top and 3 Quakes coming out. Let's watch SirLinkalot's facial expressions here to see if this works. He's not even phased. We get like a small little nod, like yes, as I expected, it is calculated. And down goes Lich.
And that is at 29-22. Our first orb has been lit.
So Quake will work on these Mudgalls, but it's not the best chance in the world. But if you want to get a few levels, what SirLinkalot is doing right now with 3 Quake casters is not a bad plan. The key thing right now is they're really wanting to get a few charges of Nuke. And to do that, they just need a couple more levels.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, you're basically going to have to go out and save after every run, and you definitely want to run from these gargoyles.
Yeah, with Death Touch. Oof! Okay, he gets away barely.
Just barely made it.
Unfortunately, Melman's healing shop has been destroyed by aforementioned vampire who they have slain. So he will have to revive his party somewhere else. He just reset out. Okay.
Speaking of resetting out, fryteeth also has reset out and is going somewhere else.
So
all he's missing out on is the bottle right now, which isn't anywhere near a priority, so it's not like a huge loss that he's not doing Earth right now.
That's pretty lucky for fryteeth. If that was the floater, this race would be that would be a huge lead for SirLinkalot. However, with it just being the bottle, and that bottle could very easily be a dud location. That might not matter at all for fryteeth. It's just the one orb lit. So, a small advantage to SirLinkalot, but nothing insurmountable.
Apparently, fryteeth did manage to kill the vampire and then warped back out, but still didn't fully complete and is going to have to re-dive Earth
Okay,
later.
so it is just the orb advantage, not even the bottle advantage. Thank you again to our trackers for this evening. Danny, as well as Rock Solid 84, so they're doing a great job keeping us up to date. And as you can see, our trackers, of course, have that bottle highlighted, while us blind commentators completely missed it, as is tradition. So good job to our trackers. Thanks a lot for having us.
Absolutely. And looks like, again, we've got sync going on as both of our runners are in the Castle of Ordeals.
Mm-hmm. Of course, Ordeal's well known for being able to use warp early. In the vanilla game, you cannot have warp before you go to Ordeal, so no tomfoolery is available. However, because this is randomized, because these runners have warp, if they take the wrong pillar, they can just warp back to where they're going, as SirLinkalot's doing right now. And fryteeth getting through here blazingly quick. Very nice work by fryteeth. SirLinkalot not far behind.
Ew, unrunnable Argoyles and unrunnable Mencats.
So Rob asking in chat, would someone have to be good at Final Fantasy 1 in order to do a randomizer speed run? So the vanilla...
No. I'm terrible at Final Fantasy 1, but I run this pretty well.
Yeah, the vanilla game knowledge is very helpful, but definitely not required, and you can pick up a lot of the knowledge you need. If you're interested in checking it out, we actually have a Duckling program starting up, our new players program. Everyone gets to race, gets to learn, has a great time. SirLinkalot and fryteeth both were actually part of my Duckling class, and that's starting up in just a few weeks. So if you're interested, come check us out. Meanwhile, huge pickup. Did you see what fryteeth got there, Dr. Funkin?
He got the floater. He's going to be getting in the air real soon.
Yeah. Unbelievable that both runners make the exact same plays, and both of them are going to be in the air within minutes of each other.
Flash Agamas, not really dangerous, just mildly annoying.
Yeah. These Agamas, it's a little unfortunate that they're here. We're going to have to see what these runners decide to grind on, though. That is definitely a decision that they're going to have to make. And you know, normally an Agama tile is pretty good, and especially with them having X for first spell, which is actually excellent, as it does nothing, essentially, for these runners. That is always a tile that's in for consideration. Unfortunately, being in Ordeals is not a great place.
No, not at all. Meanwhile, we had an opal ooh, a free pro ring. Like, they're relatively cheap this seed, but you'll never say no to a free pro ring.
Yeah, so pro rings are best in slot wrist armor, as well as providing death resistance. So they're even more best in slot, both in terms of absorb as well as in terms of providing resistances. For those, absorb is defense in this game. So if we say absorb, it's just like every other game's defense stat.
+4, that's a big knife.
Oh man, and yeah, Reese Wolf pointing out correctly in chat that this tile is also somewhere that's somewhat considered for grinding depending on their HP totals. This Gershark Big Eye tile. And fryteeth in the air at the 34-minute mark. Not the fastest in the world for these seeds, but no fault to these runners for that. It's just the way that the items rolled.
Immediately going to turn in that bottle.
Yep, and I expect the slab turn-in to be coming shortly after that.
Let's see, level 7 blind and lit 2, and then harm 4, harm 2. So not any big losses at the level 7 slot.
Yeah. These red wizards will not be able to learn the spells anyways in Gaia for white magic, so you know, more checking just to see what you're going to be missing out on.
Level 8 temper hurts, though.
Yes, to some extent. With black belts, temper is not nearly as important as in other games. However, with the crit rate flag turned on, so the black belts are slightly nerfed, they do actually need a little bit more damage, so they can't just rely on crits to get through absorb.
Yeah, definitely. Level 8 Brack as well, so we probably won't be bracking any Krakens tonight.
Yeah, unfortunate, but we did see Lich eat cake, so, you know, can't complain too much.
And the bottle becomes the loot, which is always nice to see. You found it, you don't need to worry about finding it later.
Yeah, one of 2 required items to beat the Temple of Fiends Revisited. Of course, because we need to light all the orbs, we will also need the Rod, the Oxale, the Chime, and the Cube, which are the 2 items that are not lit up in the bottom right of the tracker, as well as the Key. So their go mode is going to be Key, Chime, Cube, and then they just need to kill a bunch of fiends.
fryteeth just having some really bad encounters trying to get down to Lefane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like the encounter table isn't super free to, like, you know, run through, so both runners, you know, are not necessarily just burning encounters, they're mostly just soft resetting. So, you know, having to take some encounters, but at the same time, these encounters are worth some EXP, and when you're only level 10, EXP is pretty nice.
Yeah, unfortunately, he ran into unrunnable red Ankelo, regular Ankelo getting the jump on him and murdering his black belt, then a 4-pack of Zombuls getting the jump on him and murdering party members. It was just a bad scene.
Ugh, terrible. Our first route divergence of the seed. We have SirLinkalot in Ice Cave, while fryteeth turns in the slab, and gets the unfortunately not super useful tail.
Yeah, that's a like. Well, let's see. That would let him get exit, I guess, is the biggest thing.
I think life 2 as well at level 6.
No.
Yes.
Oh, life 2 at level 6. Okay, yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, so life 2 going to be the big pickup there, but unlike most seeds with the black belt, these runners aren't necessarily just going to run a promote right away. It's actually the opposite of the knight. With the knight and the ninja, you want to promote before level 15, so that way they get their spell charges as soon as possible. With the black belt, you want to promote as late as possible, so that way they get as much magic defense as possible. Black belts upgrading is actually strictly a downgrade. They get less magic defense per level, so you want to actually hold off, and I would not be surprised at all to see if these runners just, wait as long as they possibly can to promote. Do you want to comment? fryteeth just did something really interesting there. Did you catch that?
Did he just check the Oasis to make sure that the item wasn't there?
No, he actually checked the first location. He checked an encounter in the near Mirage to see if he could find stakes.
Ah, okay. Looks like he found one.
Yeah, this is near Ordeal. So an interesting play here. These overworld grind spots aren't quite as quick as tiles, because you have to save, come back, and do it, but it can be a really good way to get experience if you're not happy with any of the other grinds you found.
And SirLinkalot doing something that you also don't really do in the vanilla game, using Warp to, after falling down a hole in Ice Cave, to immediately come back up and check the item without having to go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And gets paid off with a ruby.
Yeah, the ruby going to unlock the Titan's Trove location. SirLinkalot showing his displeasure with Sarda, smashing into his cave mouth, but going to be picking up 2 quick incentive locations here.
It wasn't his fault. Sarda locked the door. He had to bust his way in. And Sarda's giving out a chime today, which will let us get to the top of the... which will let us get into Mirage Tower, but will not let us go up. We still need the cube for that.
Mm-hmm. So, an item that is required, but not something that they're going to be in any particular rush to use. There is an incentive item in Sky, but it is past the cube, so that will not come into play quite yet.
And in Titan's Tunnel, we have got a house, the Masamune, and a black shirt +2.
That's a pretty good dud location. That's about as good of a dud location as you can ask for.
Absolutely. For now, until the black belt gets a few more levels, that's gonna really shoot up its ability to do some damage.
Yeah, the Masa is gonna be better. Masa -3 will probably be better until at least 21, and maybe a little bit beyond that, but I don't have the exact numbers past there. 21 is a really important black belt. Extra hit point alongside 32 and 42. Okay, here we go. We're going to see the check. So what's he doing here? SirLinkalot doing Dr. Funkin.
He's checking the Oasis, like I said before. It turns out that despite that being sand, you can land right on the Oasis vendor and just step off and step back on.
Yeah, I like to picture it like it's like hovering. It's like a helicopter, and you just kind of go down a ladder, check it, and then come back up. Meanwhile, fryteeth about to show us the same warp trick, I'm assuming that SirLinkalot did, with no loose items. There's not a lot of reason to go open a bunch of boxes, especially with a black belt.
Yeah, I mean, you maybe, if you haven't found a good grind tile, might want to see if there's one, but you really don't want it to be at the bottom of Ice Cave.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking from experience, grinding in Ice Cave is not a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, that's a recipe for rage quitting and frustration.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And SirLinkalot gets his tail. Unrunnable giants. But you know, we can handle them.
Yep. Turns out everything is weak to nuke, and these giants have no HP. What on earth?
None whatsoever. Good lord.
Oh, okay, this is an interesting tile as well, the Chimera tile. Worth a ton of EXP, not really a great grind, especially in Ice Cave, but, you know, interesting to find.
They were also hitting, like, trucks.
So fryteeth doing a different route in Ice Cave. I like this. This is the check all the grind tiles route.
Yeah, here's hoping that he's able to run, though, because those lobsters had paralyze. Oh, jeez, just barely got away.
Yep, but just barely getting away is enough. Ooh, okay, so he also uses, also out of warp charges, so is going to have to walk through one room, cross your fingers, watch out. Meanwhile, SirLinkalot picks up his loot, which is named something different because we have the
double base.
Yeah, the name randomizer on. So keep your eyes peeled, though, on fryteeth's side, fighting these R-Bones. Lit 3 coming out. Lit 3 doing 100 damage. Not quite enough. These R-Bones rolled up quite a bit, but running is not the Red Wizard's expertise. Glance coming out, but dodges it. 2 dodges in a row. But we are almost stun touch. This is not looking good. Has to make a decision. Going for that Lit 3 again. First Red Wizard is stoned. Oh, no.
That could not have gone worse for fryteeth. Made it almost all the way out before getting wiped.
Mm-hmm.
The good news is that this time, he knows better than to check the seafood tile.
Yes. Unfortunately, I think this... Yeah, he'll be able to dodge at least a few of the tiles this time, but he will try his best to keep a few more warp charges available and get out of here as fast as possible. SirLinkalot giving us the first look at the waterfall, one of the remaining incentive locations, and this is going to be our first look at it, so we'll have to see what it gives us.
Nuking down some mud goals for some easy XP.
And our tracker, Rock Solid, saying in chat that the vendor item was the key in OnRack. So the key is nice for 2 reasons. 1, it is required to win, as there is a key locked door in Temple of Fiends Revisited. And 2, it also opens up another incentive location, Canaria Locked. So our runners will definitely be checking that shortly as well.
Now, while you're here, do you do the Sea Shrine? You've already got the Oxy Ale from the Pirates.
Ooh, that's a tough question. At this point, I would probably be leaning on the no side of it, but depends on how many charges of nuke you have. You can definitely nuke down Kraken. He maxes out at, or I don't know what it is, but it maxes out at 1200 HP with this current scaling, and that, you know, is definitely nuke range with 3 nuke casters.
And doesn't he also, doesn't Kraken 1 also have a weakness to Lit, and they've got Lit 3 as well.
Yeah, nuke will do a little bit more damage, but I'm actually not sure if it's weak to Lit. I wouldn't be surprised if it is. But the Kraken's close. I probably wouldn't risk Sea Shrine at this point, though. There's not a lot of gain. There's no incentive location. I'd probably just come back once I have my black belt. Yes, it's wasting a little bit of time going there and back again, but I think the cost of wiping out a sea is huge.
Makes a lot of sense.
Ice 3, the correct spell choice against Nightmares. Nuke, of course, being better, but, you know, you have limited charges. You can only ask for so much.
And there's an herb. So we've got 2 turn-ins back in the Inner Sea now.
Mm-hmm. And SirLinkalot 1 item away from go mode at this point. Meanwhile, fryteeth just needs to go get his key, and then he will also be getting close. That being said, we could still be like Cube and Volcano, and that would be something that neither runner is super close to at this point in time.
No, but if SirLinkalot, instead of doing the Sea Shrine, does go back to the Inner Sea, he will be close to Volcano. After all, we've got the check in Corneria locked, and we've got the herb turn-in now.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like he is going straight back to his airship.
Yeah, so Cheese there is pointing out in chat that we could use the Moss on Kraken as well with the black belt. Like, there's definitely enough damage. It's just, you're only saving a little bit of time, and you might also be getting through Sea Shrine slower because you're not wanting to use nukes, for example, because you're saving them. I agree with this play, although I don't think it's like a 100% of the time you skip Sea Shrine here. And here we go, we're going to get our first look at Keylocked. Meanwhile, fryteeth deciding that he does want does indeed want to take some of this overworld grind.
Yeah, he's got that steak and wings going on. That is a lot of money in the Corneria. And just... there's the katana.
The worst incentive item in this game, the quote-unquote dud black shirt, was way better.
Yeah, exactly, because once you promote, you can equip that on your black mage, and if you want to use it in battle, it casts ice too.
Mm-hmm. So will the herb have the cube we are looking for?
It'll have TNT, that'll lead to something else.
You know, getting fetch quests, not a bad thing. It does give you 5% more experience per key item, which will speed up your grind. You know, early grinds are generally better than late grinds, but if you can get the key items first, it's generally better to do so.
Yeah, but you're probably going to want to do a grind anyway, regardless, because you're using a black belt.
Mm-hmm.
So the more key items you can get, the better. And oh, we had a dud.
So that is confirmed cube in Volcano at this point, as we are out of other incentive locations except for Sky, and Sky is not available without the cube.
It sure is. Oh, hey, there's the other katana.
Oh, good. We have more money than we could ever need, and now we can sell it for more.
Rock Solid asking if Hooray Dwarf is immune to NPC Guillotine. That is actually a fun % flag. You can have Hooray Dwarf be immune or not.
Of course, even if he's not immune, you're just sending him home to his family, so, you know, you're just doing him a solid. Ooh. Whoa. SirLinkalot, if that was off the hard reset, that is a grind right there. Did you catch that?
Was that sandwiches?
Yeah, that was sandwiches off the hard reset. I don't know if SirLinkalot probably took a note of it, but that is pretty nice. But looks like he's instead deciding to go grind in Ordeals. Remember, he has already cleared Ordeals. He knows that the cube is in Volcano, and he's deciding now is the time for my black belt grind, and I think he's going to take those Agamas.
You think he's going to take the Agamas over the trying the Big Eye Gershark?
Ooh, that's a good point. I didn't catch the HP, so we'll have to see. But meanwhile, fryteeth also in the grind. So once again, these two runners, so on the same page about exactly what they want to be doing. Both of them going to be in their grind at the same time. We're going to have to see whose is faster. SirLinkalot's certainly more dangerous, while fryteeth is a little bit slower to get to each encounter. But we're also going to have to see, you know, what the HP thresholds are, how safe this is, etc.
The other thing that we're missing here is that SirLinkalot has several more key items, therefore is going to be getting more XP per fight.
Not only that, this tile is worth a ton of EXP, and Ice 3 may very well be the deciding factor here. That is pretty nice. He has to be careful here, though. He doesn't have life, so that black belt cannot die.
Oh, it can die. It better not.
Yes, let's correct that. It looks like he is going to go for the Big Eye Gershark. I don't know. Maybe we'll see what our spring tournament vets say about this decision. I would probably have taken the Sandworms, but I don't know. There's lots of good choices here.
Sandworms are weak to ice, right?
I'm not sure, but Sandworms are weak to Masa.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the key item difference is much. I think it's the tile versus the save and quit versus the safety versus the speed at which you can kill the tile.
Well, let's see how well this nuke goes.
Yeah, so fryteeth started the grind how much earlier? Maybe 2-ish minutes? 3? No, maybe a little more than that. We'll have to see who gets out of the grind first. SirLinkalot a little bit ahead in exploration, so if he finishes slightly after, he's going to be in good shape. But this is really, really important in Black Belt Seeds of whose grind is faster. It has decided many a race.
Yeah, you didn't happen to see what level fryteeth is currently on his party, have you?
No, he is menuing way too fast.
Fair enough.
We'll see shortly.
Let's see. So, fryteeth is currently getting about 4k XP per fight with just these two standing, whereas SirLinkalot is getting 3 to 4k per fight with his entire party state.
Yeah, it looks like one of the key things here is that those Gersharks don't seem to have a ton of HP. Big Eyes definitely do, but the Big Eyes aren't super dangerous from the looks of it.
Yeah, they don't seem to be, and the between Ice 3 and Lit 3, the Gersharks are going down pretty easy.
So I think SirLinkalot's going to take a little bit more time, but also going to keep his whole party up a little bit longer because he really needs those sweepers. So he's going to have his whole party a little bit higher, which means the Black Belt's going to get experience a little bit slower. But once he gets going, that Black Belt's going to get a ton of levels. And SirLinkalot's leaving. Maybe he's going to go sandwiches now, or maybe he's going to go back in. We'll have to see. Nope, going back in. And meanwhile, fryteeth continuing on these Tyros.
I'm not sure I like this move. Like, that's a lot of, like, just running out your spell charges and then having to make all of this trek again.
Yeah, he's got it memorized, and he's going to probably take the Agamas again, and this time he'll probably let his party die and finish up with a solo Black Belt, so if it's only 2 trips in, it's not the end of the world, but we'll have to see. Once again, it's really, really hard to tell what the right decision is in Final Fantasy Randomizer until it all shakes out. There's so many different factors that are playing in. And once again, unlike a speed run of a vanilla game where you know exactly where everything's going to be, what they all have, what they're going to roll, what your odds are for everything, it's super different here.
Yeah. Jack Torn Moons pointing out that fryteeth just hit level 22 on his 2 characters, where SirLinkalot, I believe, is level 20 on his whole party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having party levels is nice with Nuke being higher level, but at the end of the day, whoever can get that Black Belt maxed out fast enough is going to be the one who's getting out of this ahead, for the most part.
Yeah, and it looks like he actually decided that the Agama R-Giant is the better way to go.
Yeah, this is a little bit played into by that fact that we have a black shirt as well. In one of the races, actually, SirLinkalot was my teammate in one of our recent tournaments. That black shirt on the grind played huge dividends on this exact same tile. So, just something to note.
Yeah, absolutely. And up to 26 on that Black Belt now for fryteeth. So it looks like fryteeth is going to get his One Punch Man a little quicker than SirLinkalot is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did start the grind a little bit earlier as well, but how much quicker is very important. I like this overworld grind from fryteeth. It's safe. There's no risk. If he wipes, which is almost impossible at this point, but if he wiped, he loses 1 Tyro. If SirLinkalot wipes, he loses everything he's done except for that one intermediate save.
That's true, but we also saw that this R-Giant Agama tile is relatively safe, and he has the ability to warp out, so... Mm-hmm. It's not like this is an especially dangerous tile either.
Yeah. Also, the other thing to note is that life is level 6, so he does need quite a few levels on those red mages to get a good number of casts.
Absolutely, he does. Also, at level 26, fryteeth should probably think about unequipping that Masa and see how much he's punching for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's actually paying, it looks like, unless these things are highly evasive, he's paying the price for it in terms of the number of hits that he's getting. Yep. Excellent commentator blessing, Dr. Funkin, as usual. So the reason for that is black belts work a little bit differently. When they're unarmed, they work on a totally different formula than when they're armed. So he doesn't get the bonus hits. His hits are based off his speed and the Moss's hit percentage when he's equipping it. But when he's unequipped, he's guaranteed a certain amount of hits at level 21, 32, and 42.
And yeah, he's getting 5 hits with the punches, so it is and 6. There we go.
Yeah, there's the I didn't realize that this had stun capabilities. That does slow this grind down even more.
Yeah, he wiped out like 2 or 3 Tyros in a row there.
Mm-hmm. I would still think that the sandwiches are the fastest grind here, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what the sandwiches have. Like, they might be dangerous, but they are usually, like, a pretty free grind.
And fryteeth also hasn't seen them. So he saw these Tyros, he committed it to it, and something that's really important to note is that just, like, once you find a grind, committing to it, instead of spending 5 minutes searching for a grind, that's 5 minutes you could be grinding. And you're giving up a lot to search when you find something that is appropriate. And you know what, fryteeth just said, you know what, I'm going to sit here.
Classic Gamer 76 also pointing out that the Tyros have Blaze as well.
Mhm.
Which isn't a huge deal when you're dropping, healing items after every battle with cabins or what have you, but still, it's something to consider.
It looks like fryteeth. Okay, heading over to Crescent Lake. Gonna bring up his party. What is that black belt? 32?
31, maybe?
Okay. So he's decided that's it. No 42 black belt tonight, and that's not surprising. But it is going to be a little bit more dangerous. The big difference, of course, you do a lot more damage when you're 42, but the other thing is that you're not really at a, safe from insta-deaths to nearly the same extent as you would be with a 42 black belt with a 32 black belt. That's something to be very concerned about.
Fryteeth still has to go back. Was still going back to Ice Cave there. Oh no, he just now he's going to the volcano. Okay.
Yeah, you can see a little grin on his face cam. He's like, "Oh, that was autopilot. Let's go kill Carrie and get the cube."
All right, SirLinkalot is nearly wiped out his whole party except for the black belt.
Yeah.
Considering you're grinding in Temple of Fiends Revisited, I don't know that I want to knock the entire party down. That seems a little scary.
Yeah, I don't think he has much of a choice, but this is not going to be the freest grind. But the one nice thing for him, he has that black shirt, and two, he also has critically a bunch of heal pots. Remember way back, we mentioned that he bought those heal pots in advance so he could set up a grind like this. That being said, healing is slow. If he wipes here, that is absolutely catastrophic, so keep your eyes peeled. It's kind of boring, but it's also very, very important. Meanwhile, fryteeth is in the volcano, about to give us our first look at both Carrie as well as the cube.
I do want to see that cube.
Fryteeth doesn't have the key quite yet, but he should know at some point that it is the shop item or it is in Waterfall. So he will be the first runner in no mode, essentially. Although, arguably, SirLinkalot is there as well, as he knows
and
that it's in volcano.
SirLinkalot just took a wipe.
Oh. Wow.
That's devastating.
Wow. He lost not the whole grind, but most of the grind. Because he did exit
from level...
once.
He exited once at level 20. He lost from level 20 to 27.
Yeah. That is a huge loss and definitely gives away any exploration advantage that he might had. And even that exploration advantage wasn't much. I was going to consider these two runners very even. If SirLinkalot got out with that grind in terms of, he did a little bit more flying around while fryteeth finishes his grind slightly sooner, but that is huge.
Yeah, that fryteeth, you got a cube you got to go grab.
I think he did. He warped out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Scaring me for a moment there.
Yeah. Warp trick also very useful in the volcano. Doesn't look like... Did he not heal up before he took Carry on? This should be fine.
He must have not healed up before taking on Carry. 284 health on that black belt.
Yeah, this should be totally fine, but it's still a little scary. And down goes Carry. And with that, fryteeth lights his first orb at the 1 hour mark. So we have hit the 1 hour mark, and usually at this point I'll take a little bit of time to give a brief recap of what you're watching in case you just tuned in. Welcome to the SpeedGaming Live 2020 Final Fantasy Randomizer Tournament. We are in the pods, which is the precursor to brackets. My name is Jat. I'm joined here in the booth by Dr. Funkin. And you're watching a pretty tight race between two very evenly matched runners beforehand. The big story, what you might have just witnessed, SirLinkalot wiping out of a grind. These two runners held hands for like 30 minutes in this seed, with the one exception that SirLinkalot just had the Earth Orb lit, and that was really the only difference between them, really. But at this point, he just lost 5 or 6 minutes of a grind, and that's going to be very difficult for him to catch up. That being said, Temple of Fiends Revisited, definitely not free.
So, it's not like that much of a difference, considering that fryteeth also still hasn't done the Earth Cave.
Mm-hmm.
So, SirLinkalot lost a lot of time, but fryteeth also lost a lot of time in Earth Cave that he still has to make up.
Yeah, for sure. This is no done deal. But SirLinkalot, if he had a lead, it definitely evaporated on that grind wipe.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely think that if he had gotten out with that grind, I think SirLinkalot would have been ahead simply on the back of Earth Cave. Because fryteeth still has to go up and do Waterfall as well as doing like that whole fetch chain with the herb and the TNT and whatnot. Actually, no, he doesn't. He's in go mode. He can just skip all that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That actually changes quite a bit.
But even though that said, like it was very, very, very close with SirLinkalot having a small orb lead and fryteeth having a small grind being finished faster. But with that wipe, definitely a tale of the tape, and we'll have to see what happens for the next 10 or so minutes as these runners go collect their final key items and their orbs.
And it is not showing on the tracker yet, but fryteeth did buy his key before going into the Sea Shrine.
So fryteeth officially in go mode. I do like Chisenair's point, and this is something I was actually just about to point out as well, is that fryteeth does probably want to get a few levels on his remaining characters to make sure that they can cast Life 2. It's going to be, that's the big spell that he's going to be lacking if he has level 17 red mazes.
Yeah, very true. Looks like SirLinkalot did a mini grind and on more sharks and eyes and is out now.
Yeah, so this is going to be that same overworld grind check, I think.
I would say I hope he's not going in. He hasn't gone to get his cube out of the volcano yet.
Yeah, no, this... Oh, wait, he does...
This looks like burning off encounters before going into the Mirage.
No, I think he's trying to check different encounter zones, because those are all hard resets, I think. Yeah, but he's finding nothing but Ankylos all the ways down. Okay, he found the Steak and Wings. Yeah, I agree, Crab Cakes. I'm pretty sure that was all one encounter zone. So what we mean by encounter zones is the map is split up into little squares, and as long as you stay within that square, which is a bunch of pixels, or a bunch of walking spaces, you're going to get the exact same encounter off hard reset every single time. So you have to make sure you're going between encounter zones in order to get the different ones. The problem with SirLinkalot, what he was having there is just that the first encounter is so quick that he couldn't get out of the encounter zone he was in. So he actually had to move his tent location in order to check the different places.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to do a Tyro grind as well.
Yep, and this is classic setup for solo grinding. Goodbye all your gear. Trying to let all his party members get punched out.
Meanwhile, fryteeth fighting a Gershark and a Big Eye. Only 104 damage. What a terrible nuke roll.
Yeah, almost the very bottom of the barrel. 200 to 400 is nuke's damage, but when it's resisted, it's cut in half, so...
I didn't even know things resisted nuke.
Well, they can resist it off magic defense only. Like MDef only.
Gotcha.
Yeah. fryteeth calling to the sea gods for some more encounters. This is kind of like when you're on the Bridge of Destiny and you're trying to call Warmech to you, but in this case he's trying to call lobsters.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to call lobsters considering those things had a stun touch.
Yeah, also the step in front of the door is actually a non-encounter causing zone, so kind of minor, but so she goes. But, we'll get a few more levels here. fryteeth does, of course, still have Sky to go through, so... and SirLinkalot just cannot find the grind that he is happy with. You can see he quickly checked inside Mirage as well.
Yeah, someone's gonna have to teach SirLinkalot about sandwiches.
I think they weren't off the power cycle, to be fair. I think they're like the second encounter or something like that. I just saw them and was like, ooh, spicy.
Sure, but with how quick that first and second encounter are, second encounter off the power cycle isn't bad for sandwiches.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, we'll have to see what SirLinkalot decides to do. fryteeth, meanwhile, has hit level 32 on that black belt, which does give that black belt 2 more hits. Final Fantasy 1 is quite a different game compared to a lot of modern Final Fantasy games, or just a lot of modern RPGs in general, in that when you get an additional hit, you get a lot more damage compared to just getting a level where you don't get an additional hit. Because you go 2 damage, 3 damage, 4 damage, and then all of a sudden you get +1 damage and +1 hit, so you go up to 10 damage. And that's huge. And that's why this black belt hitting 32 is such a critical breakpoint, because it gets 2 more hits, which means it's essentially doing like 25% more damage.
Yeah, it's big.
And that is my Twitch math, so don't quote me on that damage number, but roughly.
Yeah, doing math on Twitch is never a good idea. I don't do math in real life, let alone on Twitch.
So fryteeth rapidly picking up orbs.
Yep, and he gets because of the way he routed, he gets the benefit of not having to do the waterfall.
Into Sky, and Sky is another great place to do walking grind as well. Get a few more levels on those casters if he wants. There's lots of high EXP yielding enemies in here, and with the scaling that it is, it's not such a big deal. Yeah, and she's in there correcting my math. Yeah, it's going from 6 to 8, so 33% more hits is correct. Plus the additional damage for the level up, so somewhere like 35 or 36% more damage for 1 level.
That's a big jump.
fryteeth going to be getting through the Q block. He does not want more fights, though. He's just going. This makes me think he's not going to promote, and probably just might go straight into Temple of Fiends Revisited after lighting the Earth Orb.
Yeah, that does seem to would be what I would guess, considering where the way he's playing.
So SirLinkalot gonna have to hope for a very tough Temple of Fiends Revisited, because this is going to be a very tough lead to catch up to at this point.
Absolutely. At this point, he's now behind on orbs, and his extra exploration ended up being to his detriment.
Yeah. This all being said, though, Temple of Fiends Revisited wipe can be anywhere from 2 or 3 minutes if it's really early to like upwards of 7 or 8 minutes if it's on Chaos and it's a tough Temple of Fiends Revisited. So this is by no stretch a race that is over. Yeah, Crabcake's asking in chat the right question with only a 32 black belt. Do they have ribbons? And the answer is no. So insta-death spells could be an issue. I don't know the exact numbers once again, but I feel like Brack is probably a coin flip for a 32 black belt or somewhere around there. So, that could be absolutely devastating.
And there's that white shirt in Sky. Love to see that.
As alongside the defense sword as well. So evasion magic, not such a big detriment for these runners.
No, not at all. Now, the biggest problem is that they don't have ribbons, and wall was White Wizard locked.
Yeah. fryteeth is going to check 4 chests here. Will he do the CC Gambit? I doubt it, but we shall have to see. Oh, also did not re-equip all his armor, so he's going to do that now. That definitely will help a little. Not a big deal, but realizing that, I don't need to dan these party members off. I actually would prefer for them to live. Do you want to take Vince the Valiant's question in chat?
Vince the Valiant asking, what does it mean to lose a grind? What that means is that SirLinkalot earlier was level grinding inside of the Temple of Ordeals, and he ended up dying, which means that he just straight up lost all of his experience that he gained during that dive.
So that is just a huge time loss, because most of the time you don't go that long without saving. Usually you're in and out of places relatively quickly, but in this case you're spending a lot of time in there to get those levels, so losing it is just a straight time loss. And we are on the Bridge of Destiny, so Fighter. I saw a single sprite and I was excited that we might get to see our Robot Chicken Overlord.
Ooh, that's a high defense fighter. It took the full brunt of the Black Belt's hits and shrugged it right off.
fryteeth moving some sacrificial lambs to sacrifice at the altar of Tiamat. But everyone else, nuke, fast, swing. Yep, no real need for defense.
Yeah, just punch. Well, that's a tanky Tiamat. Only 132 damage off those 8 hits.
That is where the black belt crit nerf really comes into play. So the way criticals work in this game is that they actually do 2 separate damage calculations. One, they do your normal hit, which includes absorb, and then they add an additional hit, which excludes absorb. And they both have, I believe, the same damage number, but basically half of your damage is going to completely resist the absorb, which means crits are a great way to get through high absorb fiends. With the black belt's crit rate halved, it really can make an impact on how much damage they do to high absorb fiends like Tia 1, Tia 2, Kraken 2, and of course the big man himself, Chaos.
fryteeth is going to go ahead and take these sandwiches, get some free XP for his party.
And that is 3 orbs lit for fryteeth at the 1 hour and 12 minute mark. SirLinkalot, meanwhile, removing all the armor from his black belt so it can't even accidentally be equipped.
Smart. That's a pro gamer move right there.
So we've talked about the impact of weapons on black belts' punches. What are the impacts of armor on black belts?
Oh, it's really bad. It's just so bad.
What does it do?
Well, they get like armor based off their level, but all of that gets negated if you equip them with anything.
Yes, correct. So if they're level 1 and you equip a cloth plus 6, they're going to be going up to, like, I don't know, 14 armor or something like that. However, if you equip a cloth armor to a 32 black belt, usually they would have 32 absorb, but instead they have, once again, like 12. So very, very bad to have armor equipped to your black belt once they're higher level. Fine for the early game, though.
An argument can be made that if you have ribbons, that you might want to do a ribbon and armor and the,
yes,
a pro ring.
Yes, especially on the in Temple of Fiends Revisited in particular, as you know, your black belt getting bracked down or something is pretty much the worst case scenario, especially with a 32 black belt compared to a 42 black belt. As at 42, I believe it's pretty close to having the exact same resistances as a ribbon, just because of such high MDef. I think the only one it doesn't is for Brack itself. Meanwhile, SirLinkalot in Volcano, about to get his second orb lit as well as his go mode item, the cube, which he knows is here.
Meanwhile, fryteeth murdering some bats on his way to Lich.
Yep. See, we said that the Hooray Dwarf gets sent home to his families. These bats get murdered after literal decades of tormenting Final Fantasy I players. They deserve to die.
They might be the worst bats in the history of terrible bats in video games. Shoutouts
to our devs. They add so much to this game every single month. It seems like we are playing a brand new version of the randomizer, so big shoutouts to them. If you want to figure out what's going on, definitely come join us in our Discord. Check out FinalFantasyRandomizer.com to come and play.
Vince the Valiant saying, what about Zubat? No, I'll take Zubats all day, every day over these things. I can use a repel or a super repel to get rid of Zubats. I can't do that for these. And
they evolve into pretty good Pokemon, man.
Yeah, they do. Golbat and Crobat, sign me up.
SirLinkalot using the same warp trick to get back out of that trap tile location and into the bottom floor of the volcano, and those death-touching bulls take down the black belt.
Oh no.
No. Here goes nuke strats. Yeah, this should still work, but oof. Also, I said should still work, so hello, commentator curse. Carry maxing out at 900 HP though, so it should be like 5 nukes.
Well, one of those nukes only hit... Two of those nukes have only hit for about 100, so... There we go, okay.
Okay, and SirLinkalot gets through with, a little bit of potential swearing. Good thing we don't have, this is a PG stream here. We don't have their audio piping through. That could be potentially very bad.
And fryteeth successfully taking out Lich with the nuke. And that's all 4 orbs lit, so unless he's got some last-minute shopping to do, he's good to go.
Okay, looks like he is going to go for this promotion. I have to imagine this is for life. I can't think of anything else.
There literally isn't another thing that would be worth it.
Yeah.
Exit does not matter at this point.
No, I'm just taking a quick look. Our trackers are providing us spell lists in chat, so... Yeah, I can't see anything else that he could really care about, so I think it's for life. Does he have charges of it? Looks like he has 1 on both red mages.
Hey, that's better than nothing.
Mm-hmm. SirLinkalot, meanwhile, picking up some gold bracelet. +4s, those provide very good defense. Or absorb, sorry.
Oh, absolutely. That's going to be fantastic defense for his party.
Yeah, alongside pro ranks +6. Pretty nice. And what is fryteeth doing?
I imagine he's restocking heal pots.
Nope, going straight for something at level...
Life 2. He thinks he can buy regular life.
Oh, no can do, buddy. So that is a white mage only, but hopefully he remembers that life 2's at level 6. Oh, he's scratching... Oh, he's giving us the smile again. You get that classic fryteeth. Uh-oh. Yeah, so that is unfortunately white mage only. It is a vanilla harm slot, I believe. No, vanilla sphere.
Oh, okay. Level 3 is where it's a harm slot.
Yeah. And yep, fryteeth going in. Says, you know what? That's it. That's all she wrote. I've got what I need. And fryteeth enters the Temple of Fiends Revisited at the 1 hour and 18 minute mark. Cheesenator pointing out in chat that it looks like fryteeth might still have that cloth +6 armor on, so that means this black belt, instead of having 32 absorb, has closer to in the teens.
Yeah, that's definitely something that he will have to remedy at some point.
Mm-hmm. That is very much the difference between Kraken one-shotting his black belt and Kraken not. Could be.
Yep. Unrunnable mucks. Real pain.
Yeah. Now, of course, you know, we're saying this because it's an important, like, kind of plot point, but that does not, that should not, you know, say that this is an easy game by any stretch. And we've all made these mistakes before. It's so easy. There's so much going on. This game has, you know, you have your armor slots, you have your weapon slots, you have your levels, you have your spells. You have to keep track of all this information in your head at once, and it's very easy for something to fall through the cracks, especially in race situations. Everyone from brand new players to seasoned pros have done so. So, you know, this is not a decrying fryteeth as a player by any stretch.
Cheesenator also pointing out that fryteeth did not bother to buy any gold bracelets or pro rings, so he is much less geared than SirLinkalot is. So if this ends up being even a moderately difficult Temple of Fiends Revisited, that could really favor SirLinkalot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big punches could mean a big difference, and so could something that is like a scary death elemental insta-death. Could be really, really bad for fryteeth. Meanwhile, SirLinkalot's party will be able to shrug it off. Remember, fryteeth has no life. So anyone who goes down at this
That's a really rude thing to say about fryteeth.
fryteeth's party has no life magic. So anyone who goes down is gone for the rest of this dive.
Sorry, I had to do that to you.
It's all good, Dr. Funkin. SirLinkalot, go ahead.
SirLinkalot just punching the absolute crap out of that squid and gets his third orb lit.
Meanwhile, fryteeth about to show us our first Fiend refight. So, of note for the Fiend refights, they have their spells shuffled in a separate pool from the vanilla bosses, or from the first Fiends, which means there are nukes, nuclears, slow 2, cure 4, all in the pool, as well as a number of insta-death spells. So, you know, Lich might not have a ton of HP, but this is no pushover.
Meanwhile, SirLinkalot is going to go ahead and promote before going to Sky.
So he wants, I'm going to guess that SirLinkalot wants to pick up life, though I have kept saying that, and I've been proven wrong before, so we'll have to see. Classic Gamer, our classic source of information, saying that there is 1 rub and 2 quad X's in the Fiend refight pool that are death elemental, so that is something that could come into play.
Yep, especially since one of our runners is all outfitted with pro rings and the other isn't.
And you could see that, like, fryteeth black belt taking 100 damage from Lich is not a good sign, and that is kind of a cue that that cloth armor is indeed still equipped. And here we go. 7 hits, not bad damage. Is suffering a little bit from that crit rate. This carry does max out at 1050 HP, so, you know, shouldn't be long for the world.
Which is good, because that Blaze came out and did an awful lot of damage to the whole party.
Oh, hold your breath, Lit 2 coming out, and everyone survives!
Ooh, high roll nuke takes out Carry, and fryteeth survives by the skin of his fryteeth.
Oh man, Dr. Funkin', you're on fire right now. How long have you been keeping that one saved up for?
Honestly, I just thought of it right in that while I was in the middle of the sentence.
10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. SirLinkalot entering the floating tower, the floating castle? As about to light his 4th orb, meanwhile fryteeth onto the water floor. So yeah, once again, SirLinkalot definitely better equipped for this Temple of Fiends Revisited, but fryteeth's got a 32 black belt and does not care about anything else. So we'll have to see if that strategy pays off for him.
Speaking of not caring about anything else, SirLinkalot just ran past the white shirt.
Ooh, makes sense. Evasion's not as big of a deal. Usually it's kill them before they kill you in these situations, so that doesn't surprise me, especially if he feels behind, which he 100% does after wiping out of that grind.
Yep. However, he does have a much hardier party than fryteeth does. Like, he's level 26, 27 on all of his mages.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, a bad wipe or wipe and a half, and SirLinkalot's back in it.
fryteeth gets excellent turnover on this Kraken. Gets fast off, gets white shot off, but here comes Nuke. Oh man, everyone survives by the skin of their teeth. That's scary, but that means those extra levels that fryteeth took on his mages are paying off there. Everyone is alive for now. What's the play, though? Another white shirt comes out. So getting his evasion up, but evasion's not going to matter. I'm pretty sure everyone's one shot by Kraken. Yup, goodbye, Black Mage. For the rest of this run, Lock comes out. This is going to be a big swing. 12 hits all his swings, but not quite enough to take Kraken down. Needs probably some nukes here. Yup, there we go. Nukes coming out. Last cast of Nuke on that Red Wizard. That punch gonna do the trick. Kraken 2 goes down. fryteeth loses 1 mage, down to 3 party members.
Yeah, and now he's trying to decide, do I spend the time using heal pots or do I cast Cure 4? Oh wait, Cure 4 is where my fast charges are.
Oh, this is hold your breath time for fryteeth. This is, you know, he's definitely got a path to victory here, but it is not an easy path to victory. We have Tia 2 with 1650 max HP standing in his way, followed by Chaos, the big man himself, with up to 3000. That is not going to be one-shottable by that black belt by any stretch. So this is going to be, you know, hold your breath time. Meanwhile, SirLinkalot does pick up life 2 after promoting. Hey, I finally guessed right.
You were bound to get one at some point tonight.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay, second Red Wizard down. Tiamat not messing around. Last new charge luckily has 1 fast charge left. That's what he needs for Chaos, but gonna turn 273. This is gonna be a little bit slow. Second Red Wizard survives on 4 HP. If he uses that, he has nothing left to offer but a lock. Red Wizard goes down. SirLinkalot in Topher down to a solo black belt, and he gets through. He has a solo black belt and a prayer on this Chaos. Will fryteeth get through the big man himself? SirLinkalot close on his heels. Anything, Dr. Funkin'?
Oh my gosh, it is so tense right now.
Yeah, no healing is critical, but the defense sword, absolutely essential. You can get up to 6 stacks of evasion, at which case only critical hits will get through. However, non-elemental sweepers, big scary thing here. Also, first turn punches, absolutely huge. If he punches first, that's going to do a ton of damage to this cloth armored black belt.
Yeah, he absolutely is in bad shape with that cloth armor equipped.
Okay, goes for the defense. Punch first, 120 damage. That's not bad. That's pretty good news for fryteeth. Lit 2 coming out, 507 HP remaining. Needs to not see nukes. Come on, Chaos, swing. Quad X comes out, dodges it. That would have killed if he's less than 300 HP. 547 damage. 8 hits, 349. This Chaos still alive. Chaos missing. fryteeth wants Chaos to keep swinging. Blizzard comes out. That's scary. One nuke could take out fryteeth at this point.
Eight hits, 433. Chaos still standing. Another swing, 7 hits for 180. Lit 2 comes out. Another swing, 7 hits, 230. Chaos with Fire 3. Oh, we're down to 9 health. Another Fire 3, and that's a wipe for fryteeth.
Oh my goodness gracious. So, a few tiny things. Cloth armor equipped, no life magic, absolutely biting fryteeth right there. But man, he played that as well as he could have once he was in that fight. I liked the 2 defense stacks only instead of going up to 3 after he realized Chaos didn't punch very hard. SirLinkalot in the lead, but once again, SirLinkalot wipes, fryteeth's going to be back in it. This is neck and neck in the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Absolutely, but as we mentioned, SirLinkalot is much better equipped to deal with this Temple of Fiends Revisited than fryteeth was. He's got 2 life casters with multiple charges, he's got amazing gear on all of his party members, or no gear on his black belt.
You know what all this gear in the world doesn't help against too much, though? Is first turn nuke on Kraken. It's very unlikely, but that nuke could do 400 damage to both of his red wizards, and that would be very bad for SirLinkalot. So having the extra levels and health helps a lot, but it doesn't protect against nuke.
Very true. Speaking of nuke, SirLinkalot nuking down Carry right now. Couple swings, 16 hits, 1430, goodbye Carry.
Oh man, I wasn't counting damage for fryteeth, but he had to have been within, if Chaos rolled down, he had that fight for sure. Because he did definitely over, I think he did around 2,000 damage.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I wasn't counting damage. I was just watching and, biting my nails.
SirLinkalot onto the water floor. We'll see what his adjustments are. With life, it's a little bit safer to sacrifice mages to Kraken. And mages are being sacrificed at the Great Altar of Kraken. Little does he know, Kraken's biggest threat? Nuke. Oh, I like this adjustment. So he's using Ruse on both of his red wizards, trying to let them tank a hit for him.
Yep. Meanwhile, the black mage gets sacrificed.
Not the end of the world. Once again, he does have life.
And we get fast up. Nuke comes out. Slays.
No!
Whoa, God!
Oh man, that was almost another commentator course. Max damage nuke on his 399 health black wizard.
And he's down just a solo black belt.
I'm sorry, SirLinkalot. Please do not watch this back.
Yeah, that's entirely your fault.
Oh my goodness. Near double max roll nukes and SirLinkalot in the same situation as fryteeth. The one difference. No cloth armor equipped.
Good lord. What? This is so tense.
That
oh my
nuke
gosh.
roll is so unlucky. Like, so horribly unlucky. Like, unbelievably.
Yeah, and now he's got unrunnable rock goals that he's got to chew his way through before he can even get to the next fight.
On the bright side, he does get a little bit of levels from it at least. Groggy Duck saying I'd reset out. I would definitely not reset out. I would 100% keep going with the defense sword. But it's going to be, as fryteeth showed, bite your nails time. But SirLinkalot, there's a couple things that can go better for him. 1, he can get defense off before Chaos swings. 2, he could get Chaos in a crit loop, potentially, which will guarantee him a win. And 3, he could just do a little bit more damage, get a few luckier crits, and hope Chaos casts less spells and punches more.
Oh, this is interesting. Instead of equipping nothing, he's gone ahead and moved a gold ring and a pro ring, or a gold bracelet and a pro ring up onto the black belt.
What's the gold rings plus?
+4, and then I think it's +5 for the pro ring.
Oh, I think that's actually about the same.
But it does give him the death resist.
Yeah, it's a really good play. That means he's about the same absorb, and he has the bonus death resist. So that's a really, really nice play by SirLinkalot. Really heads up on the exact mechanics.
Cheesenator saying it's actually way better, so I'll believe him.
Yeah. What is this black belt now? It's got to be in like his mid-30s.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the mid-30s, considering with that 700 health. And we got double defenses up. Tiamat swinging hard, though. Here comes Lit 2. Defense goes out for a third time, and now we're just going to hold A and pray.
Yeah, down to
7 hits,
260.
163. Gets the bad news that Tiamat's real tanky. 5 hits for 242, but Tiamat's missing now. 6 hits, 170-something. Tiamat was stunned, though. Oh, and that's a wipe.
Meanwhile, fryteeth gets nuked again. This Temple of Fiends Revisited not being nice at all. And Gregglypuff giving us the official math. 45 is absorbed, so that's almost 10 more absorbed, plus death resistance compared to the vanilla black belt. So, big gains. fryteeth, though, down to 2 party members. I can't... Kraken can't possibly... Okay, I'm not saying anything.
Kraken
it is very...
can possibly do anything.
It is very unlikely for Kraken to roll those nukes against SirLinkalot's party again.
Nah, this time it'll just kill both of his red mages right out the first time.
Oh man, he's never gonna forgive me. So fryteeth, 2 party members up, about to take on Tiamat. Lots of heal pots left. In a slightly unfortunate location, but that's okay. Just slightly slower. You can manipulate it, quote unquote, but he has 37 cabins he'd have to burn through, so...
Yeah, not worth it at that point.
And here we go, Tiamat. See, the difference for fryteeth is he does have fast here, which is going to make things a lot quicker.
I would hope so. I mean, the spell is called fast. I would hope it makes things faster.
But he does need some crits.
Yeah, he certainly does.
Yeah, going with the nuke, trying to decide if he wants to use fast or not, but using fast, very dangerous. Doesn't matter if the... And fryteeth again. Man mode, onto chaos, has the information he needs this time. 2 defense stacks.
And then hold A. The information he doesn't have that he needs is to unequip that cloth armor.
And here... Okay, moving into the luckier slots. Giving us the luck victory lap. I like it. Changing up the RNG by going... Not actually, but changing up the RNG by taking the slightly longer path. And here we go. Defense. Lit 2 first. Not the worst. Gets those defense stacks up. I expect 1 more, and then he's going to start swinging. Meanwhile, SirLinkalot onto Lich. Blizzard comes out. Swinging away. Quad X missing. He's standing up, I think.
Nuclear? Chaos is not playing around. He's coming for blood.
Oh, man.
Good lord.
And then I think that was a crit at the end, or just hit through very high evasion. Okay, fryteeth taking a deep breath, trying to figure out what to do next, deciding that another dive is what is in the cards. SirLinkalot on to carry. Sorry, we're both Dr. Funk and I are a little bit out of breath here. This has been an intense Temple of Fiends Revisited. Everything we could ask for this kickoff pod race.
SirLinkalot once again through carry and onto the Lich floor. Not the Lich floor, the Kraken floor. Oh god, I'm going backwards.
And SirLinkalot. So, what he needs to see, if you're a SirLinkalot fan, low roll nukes. That is what SirLinkalot needs more than anything else. He knows the range of HP on Kraken. He knows he can get through with like 2 black belt punches. He needs low roll nukes and turn order.
Or he just needs it to punch. A punchy Kraken he can beat.
Yeah, he has 2 life casters. Yeah. Okay, so he's saying 2 fast casters in case one gets punched out, and then a nuke. He is going for the defense though.
This
Lower
time
rolls
his whole
nuke.
party survives nuke. Even the black mage survived nuke.
The problem is that we know that they have follow-up sweeping magic. This is scary business. Okay, he does make an adjustment. I really like this. He's going for Cure 4 on both his red mages. This means if they get turn order, which they did, if he casts a sweeper, at least one is surviving. That's huge.
Oh lol, Kraken has stun touch too, just to really rub it in.
Okay, Kraken, there's that ice too. See that adjustment right there? That saved SirLinkalot by Cure 4, and Kraken goes down. So not perfect turn order, pretty good nukes, and he is right neck and neck. Yeah, Cheeseinator saying this is the dive. I'm not 100% sure, but this is looking much better than any of his previous dives. Fast coming out, defense coming out. So SirLinkalot's still playing fairly defensive. He knows that Tia punches pretty hard. Playing defensive though is very dangerous against potential spell cast like nuclear. Of course, he doesn't think that Tia has it because he's seen his spell list, so he's going to play a little bit safer. Nuke coming out, Tiamat surviving so far, but you know, not long for this world. Meanwhile, fryteeth 2 fiends behind in his 3rd dive of the Temple of Fiends Revisited.
12 hits, 455. That's one of the best hits we've seen on Tiamat so far. And SirLinkalot is through Tiamat, and he is on his way to Final Chaos. Healing up.
So
he's got a whole
SirLinkalot
party. This is looking good. This is looking really good for SirLinkalot. It's
yeah,
just gonna
Nuclear is the problem here, but his red mages will both survive one.
Absolutely, they will. All right, so we're gonna fast up Nuke, and we're gonna do double fast cast. Love to see it, and throw out that defense sword. Okay, fast comes out. Nuke hits Chaos for 118. Second fast comes out, ineffective. Chaos swings only 78 damage. So that may be enough to just say, all right, time to start punching. Meanwhile, trying to decide what to do. Gonna go with nothing and a nuke. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and swing. Lit 2 coming out from Chaos. Nuke coming out again, 104. Another nuke, 110.
Oh no. And fryteeth took another wipe on a stun
no.
dog.
Yeah, 15 hits for 500 damage from that black belt. Another nuke, another 100 damage. Quad X, ineffective. Nuking again. 346, nice big nuke. 16 hits, 838. Chaos has got to be on the ropes by now.
This should be the last turn.
15
Here
hits, 575. Ice 3 coming out, really doing damage to those mages. Swinging with the Masa for 57 extra damage. Fasting up that Masa red mage. Wait, Cure 4, fight. Cure 4 goes. Lit 2 coming out, taking out 2 of the mages. The other 2 party members are alive. 16 hits, 610 damage, and Chaos is terminated with an official time of 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 49 seconds. SirLinkalot is your winner. Get your GGs in chat.
Wow. SirLinkalot, a lot of adversity, and he punched through. I am definitely going to be seeing if I can catch some post-game interviews with him in our private Discord. Well, the Final Fantasy Randomizer Discord, which is open to everyone. We, unfortunately, because of this super intense Temple of Fiends Revisited, are going to be a little bit short on time, so we're not going to be able to watch fryteeth finish up entirely, nor will we be able to have winner interviews. However, this has been an absolute pleasure to race. Dr. Funkin, any final thoughts before we wrap things up here?
Hey, if you were watching this and you thought, gee, that looks like fun, go to FinalFantasyRandomizer.com, roll yourself up a seed, and get racing. If you've got questions as to the best way to do that, come join us on the Final Fantasy Randomizer Discord. Please follow our runners for putting on this great show for you tonight. Follow my co-commentator, Jat2980. Please follow our trackers, Danny3883 and
Rock Solid 84.
And follow the SpeedGaming family of channels as well.
Yeah, and that will pretty much do it for us at Final Fantasy Randomizer. We are so glad that if you tuned in and joined us for this fantastic race. We got lots of Final Fantasy Randomizer actually coming up over the next week. We have pods, we will have brackets, we will have the championship final. Thanks a lot. Super Metroid Randomizer is up next. I hope everyone has a lovely evening. It was a blast. Good night, everyone.
Take care.